Hey guys, it's Brett. Thanks for dropping by my channel. So May is here, along with a bunch of new books, fresh start, hopeful beginnings. I will say this what I say every time, which is these are all possibilities for me. These are the things that struck me at the time when I was pulling through my piles. Who knows what'll actually stay, because I have been so inconsistent with TBRs and what actually ends up being read. Although I did fairly good in April. There was a few books I didn't get to, which I might still carry over to this month, such as Eleanor Catton's Burnham Wood and How Far the Light Reaches by Sabrina Embler. Those two books I really still want to read. So I guess you'll find out at the end of this month. So let's go. All right, so I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 books here that I was going to talk about briefly. This also doesn't include stuff that I have on NetGalley, which I really want to try to get to. Some of those I'm going to feature in a post about May reads, because there's so many new releases, and by the time you're watching this video, many of these that I'll be talking about have come out a few days ago or longer, even longer if you're seeing this a year from now. Then they absolutely came out. Okay, stop. Okay, so the first is Trespasses by Louise Kennedy. This is one of the finalists for the Women's Prize for Fiction this year. I had had my eye on it well before that, but like so many things, I bought it and it just sat there. So this was the perfect opportunity to say, read the damn book, because I'm going to try to get through all the short list, or what's left. I have 4 books on the short list I have to read. So I am going to try to read them all this month, although I'm not highlighting them all here today. But this one set during the Troubles in Northern Ireland, and a woman who is caught between, it seems like she gets involved in a passionate affair, probably with the wrong man, with everything that's going on. I love this cover so much, the American cover, but it seems like it's going to be tragic and all the things. So that's one. This book, Wandering Souls, this is probably the book that most people who are reading the whole long list of the Women's Prize long list thought for sure this would be on the short list and didn't make it. And there's always one. There's always one. Sometimes there's 2 or 3. But this is absolutely, I saw this more than anything else, people saying, how did this not make it on there? This is about 3 kids after the Americans leave Vietnam during the war, who are tragically and suddenly orphaned, and the oldest daughter who raises them, and what happens over the years to them. Everyone I know who has read this has said it's fantastic. I went and got it before the shortlist was announced, certain that it would be on the shortlist, but it's not. And again, I just feel like I have to read it, and it's a slip of the novel. So yeah, I'm very excited about it. Okay, this God Killer by Hannah Kaner. This is a really beautiful edition from Illumicrate, which my time with Illumicrate has come to an end because I have stopped almost all the book subscription services. I'm going to digress, but I stopped most of the book subscription services primarily because it just started to be a lot of money, A, and B, I found that I wasn't getting to the books right away. Like, I'm like, oh, they're here, I'm getting one automatically, as opposed to prioritizing those books. So, and I feel like if there's something that I wanted so badly that came up on one of these special services, I'll just spend the money and try to get it if I can. But generally speaking, I'm just kind of like, no, I can't have all these. So I stopped at Illumicrate. I put Book of the Month Club on hold, and I saw what the choices were this month, and I'm like, I don't think this is a bad decision, and I might just end up canceling fully Book of the Month Club. The only book club that I'm still holding on to at this point is Goldsboro, because I do think they make some interesting choices, and they do amazing work on their books, but we'll see how long that holds out too. Anyway, back to God Killer, and sorry for that digression. I'm just going to read you. This is for the fantasy lovers out there. You are not welcome here, God Killer. Kissen's family was killed by zealots of a fire god. Now she makes a living killing gods and enjoys it. That is, until she finds a god she cannot kill. Skedi, a god of white lies, has somehow bound himself to a young noble, and they are both on the run from unknown assassins. Joined by a disillusioned knight on a secret quest, they must travel to the ruined city of Blenraden, where the last of the wild gods reside, to each beg a favor. Pursued by demons in the midst of burgeoning civil war, they will all face a reckoning. Something is rotting at the heart of the kingdom, and only they can be the ones to stop it. Godkiller. We'll see. Whatever. You know, I have this love for fantasy, and I love this cover. Beautiful. We'll see. Okay, from the new book from Ivy Pagoda, Sing Her Down, described as No Country for Old Men meets Killing Eve in this gritty Western thriller. I didn't actually read Three Women, and thank you to MCD for gifting me this copy, but I know a lot of people loved it. So this is totally intriguing to me, especially because Dennis Lehane blurbs it, and I'm going to come back to Dennis Lehane in a minute. Dennis Lehane is one of my favorite writers, so he loved it. So I'm really excited, and I'm really excited to discover Ivy Pagoda. In a completely different vein, romantic comedy by Curtis Sittenfeld. I really love Curtis Sittenfeld. I didn't read her last book about Hillary Clinton, but I did read her previous two. This is set on, it's about a woman who falls in love with a guest star. She writes for like a Saturday Night Live type of show, and the guest star comes on the show and they end up falling in love with each other. She wrote this, like so many authors we're seeing bringing stuff out right now, during the pandemic to feel good. And so, I don't know, it sounds kind of totally fun, totally leaning into my periodic like romance. I feel like it's going to give me complete Tom Hanks, Meg Ryan vibes from like late 80s, early 90s romantic comedies, also with Julia Roberts and Hugh Grant, also with Julia Roberts and Richard Gere, also with Julia Roberts and, well, basically anyway. So, okay, that's what I'm getting from this. So we'll see. All right, I said I'd come back to Dennis Lehane, and I have. Dennis Lehane's new book, Small Mercies. The acclaimed New York Times bestselling writer returns with a masterpiece to rival Mystic River, an all-consuming tale of revenge, family, love, festering hate, and insidious power set against one of the most tumultuous periods in Boston's history, which is 1974. If you've never read Dennis Lehane, I would highly encourage it. You know, he wrote Mystic River, which was turned into a movie, as well as Shutter Island, that Martin Scorsese made into a movie, which was great. But what I love from Dennis Lehane are his earliest books, which are a series of novels that involve two detectives named Patsy Kenzie and Angie Gennaro, Irish cops in Boston. There's a series of, I believe, 4 books that follows them and their cases. They're so good. He's genius. He also writes historical novels too. And when I mean historical, I'm talking, you know, well before, you know, early 1900s. I think this guy can do anything. I know he wasn't even going to be writing that many more novels, he had said a while ago, because now he's a big-time television producer and he's been writing for television. But do yourself a favor, read some Dennis Lehane if you just want really good, solid American fiction. I want to, you know, they're crime novels in a way, but I don't want to limit it and classify it as mysteries. They're so good. But I'm telling you, if you haven't read anything, start with the Patrick Kinsey and Angie Gennaro novels. I'm going to give you what it is. Okay, I found it. The first one's called A Drink Before the War. Darkness Take My Hand is the second. Sacred is the third. and Gone Baby Gone, which Ben Affleck then made into a movie. But those are the four books. But really, I mean, he doesn't write a bad book. He's a great storyteller. So, okay, enough of Dennis Lehane, but check him out. Okay, this book looks totally interesting to me. It was getting a lot of pre-publication buzz. Ascension by Nicholas Binge. This is a speculative novel about a mountain that just suddenly appears. Where does it appear? Let me see if it tells you. Appeared in the Pacific Ocean, and no one knows how to explain its existence. So basically, a team goes out to climb up this thing to find out what it is, to try to determine what's going on. I think there's a creature here. I don't really know a lot about it. And honestly, I was going to read you guys the blurb, but I feel like this is going to be one of those books that is better left not knowing as much when you're going into it, to kind of experience it. And I will let you know if that's the case. But I started to read and I was like, no. I don't want to do that. So I'm not going to ruin it for you. And if you want to wait until I get through it and then be like, I don't know, I totally understand. So then wait, and I'll tell you about it. But I think it sounds really interesting. So yeah, that's Ascension by Nicholas Binge. And then the last thing I'm focusing on at the moment of the actual books I have in my possession at the moment, this will be coming out May 15th. So I might be featuring it again when I talk about May books. Heaven and Earth by Joshua Center. Joshua Center wrote a book 2 years ago that got incredible reviews, and I loved it, called Still the Night Call. It was a really quiet, powerful, character-driven novel about a man struggling in the middle of the country to try to make ends meet during the Trump administration, who was a Trump supporter. It kind of was a representation of people in that part of the country who voted Trump, voted Republican, despite the fact that many of the policies worked against their own self-interest. And so it's about this man who's trying to understand and trying to, come to terms with all these things while the world is kind of progressing and moving on, and, Black Lives Matter and gay rights and transgender and all of these things. It's really great. So this is his new book, which is about a pastor and his wife. And what I understand is it comes to light that the pastor was having an affair, but he was having an affair with a man, and what it does to the family, what it does to this community, kind of the reverberations. So, like I said, he's a really wonderful writer. So I'm very excited about this. I'm going to be doing some kind of either an Instagram live with him or something here on YouTube. We've just started talking and we're trying to figure that out, but I will let you guys know when that is. If you're interested, it's going to be somewhere around publishing week. So that as well. So those are the books that I'm prioritizing. And again, all of this is subject to change as my FOMO takes over, as someone tells me, you should read this, or someone has a giveaway and whatever. So take it all with a grain of salt. But I hope some of those are intriguing to you. Absolutely, I think some of them look very interesting. And maybe some of you have read some of these, because I know some of them have been out long enough that certainly I bet some of you have read, especially if you're reading the Women's Prize list. You absolutely could have read the first two that I talked about. So please let me know in the comments below. All right, that's it for today, guys. When I see you next, I think it's going to be to talk about more May releases that I'm excited about. So look for that. Have a great day wherever you are, and I'll see you all soon.